Verstappen produced a dominant performance at the Italian Grand Prix to deny Charles Leclerc victory in Monza and secure a fifth successive win. Verstappen started from 7th after a grid penalty, but he was up to second after just 5 laps and clearly had a pace advantage over pole sitter Charles Leclerc. Ferrari seeking a win at his home race pitted Leclerc after 11 laps under a VSC as the Italian team sought to find any advantage over Verstappen, but the move was more in vain as the medium tyres fitted to monogas cars failed to provide the durability or speed to mount a challenge. With Leclerc forced to make a second stop, Verstappen held a near 20-second lead in the closing stages before a technical failure for Daniel Ricciardo saw the McLaren stop out on track with 5 laps remaining and the race ending behind the safety car. While Leclerc complained over the radio, there were a few boos from Ferrari fans at the decision to finish the race behind the safety car, but there was little doubt that Verstappen and Red Bull deserves the victory and probably would have held on even if it had come out late on. But anyway, George Russell, who started second, also continued his remarkably consistent form, finishing third for Mercedes. Carlos Sainz and Lewis Hamilton, who both started from the rear of the grid, have been among 9 drivers to take penalties, produced superb comeback drives to finish 4th and 5th respectively. Nick de Vries making his full-time F1 debut after stepping in for the unwell Alex Albon, produced a brilliant performance to score points in 9th. Verstappen's first victory in Monza stretches his World Championship lead over Leclerc to 116 points with 6 remaining and means he could secure a second successive title when the season reaches its final stretch beginning in Singapore in 3 weeks' time. We had a great race at Verstappen. On every compound we were good. Unfortunately we didn't get a restart at the end, but overall we had a really good day. It was really enjoyable to drive today, a great day for us. It took a little bit of time to get on a great podium like this, he said. Verstappen, though, after almost 4 hours of confusion following qualifying, it was finally confirmed that he would start 7th, having made serve the full 5-place grid penalty. There had been speculation in paddock that he would be able to start 4th, with mystery over how the FIA would choose to implement penalties for a total of 9 drivers. Ultimately, the Dutchman made their decision irrelevant, gaining 2 places at the start before overtaking Pierre Gasly and Daniel Ricciardo to end the opening lap in 3rd. By lap 5, he had passed Russell for 2nd and then began to apply pressure on race leader Charles Leclerc, whose soft tyres were wearing at quite an alarming rate. When a VSC was triggered by Vettel stopping on lap 11, Ferrari brought Leclerc in while Verstappen stayed out. Although Leclerc gained about 10 seconds from stopping at the point, the phase he needs to complete 42 laps on a set of medium tyres left people immediately wondering if the Italian team had pulled the strategy too quickly. That proved to be the case as Verstappen was able to maintain a similar pace on his ageing softs when it became clear that Leclerc's medium would not be capable of taking to the end. Leclerc retook the lead when Verstappen pitted 25 laps, but it was forced to give back 9 laps later as he was made his second stop, emerging almost 20 seconds behind Verstappen, who was now on mediums. The gap closed marginally and Verstappen appeared to be cruising to victory until Ricciardo stopped on track with 5 laps remaining, this time triggering a full safety car. This took four with significant gaps between them, stopped for fresh tyres. They prepared for a possible grandstand finish, but ultimately the removal of Verstappen's car took too long to allow the resumption of the race. While there was possible grievances over whether the safety car period would be extended by the fact it picked up a 3rd place Russell rather than leader Verstappen, the end result of the Dutchman coasting over the finish line was the same as it looked all along. The end was frustrating. I wish we could have had a race a bit, said Leclerc. Unfortunately, we were second because of what happened before. It's a shame, but I gave it my all. So I wish I could have won for the amazing Tifosi, but I wasn't to be. Starting from 18th and 19th respectively, the races of Sainz and Hamilton promised to be an entertaining sideshow to the battle at the front. Sainz made extremely swift progress and was up to 5th before Vettel triggered the VSC on lap 11. The Spaniard moved up to 4th shortly after, but was ultimately just short of the place required to reel Russell in for the podium. Hamilton had to be more patient with steady progress, leaving him in 10th after 20 laps. The 7-time world champion continued to advance and passed Fernando Alonso, who later retired with a suspected water pressure issue, for 6th before pitting and emerging 12th, but with soft tyres taken to the end. His charge back through the field was aided by an opportunistic double overtake on Lando Norris and Pierre Gasly, which was beautiful before he passed Daniel Ricciardo for 6th. This left Hamilton behind Perez, who had started 13th after receiving a 10-place grid penalty. The Mexican had been forced to pit on lap 7 with brakes overheating and ultimately forced to stop again as his tyres ran out, leaving the Mercedes to move up to 5th. Norris and Gasly scored solid points, 7th and 8th respectively, but it was 9th place Nick De Vries, who earned Driver of the Day for his brilliant debut. The 27-year-old Dutchman made it through to Q2 on his qualifying debut on Saturday and was bumped up to weights after grid penalty chaos. The Mercedes Royal Reserve driver further enhanced his credentials for a permanent seat next year with a faultless drive, where he comprehensively outperformed teammate Nicholas Latifi, who started 15th. Elsewhere, there was further disappointment for Aston Martin as Seb Vettel retired with an energy recovery system issue before Lance Stroll's race was cut short to save engine mileage, leading to the team having a double DNF. Before I go, let me run you through the final classification from the race. Max Verstappen winning. It doesn't matter where he starts these days, he just wins. Another faultless drive from him. Car, just of course brilliant, but Verstappen, he's just driving out of his skin at the moment. Leclerc in second. Once again, solid drive from Leclerc. I don't think there's anything he really could have done. Had decent pace. Just the same for him. Russell, once again, third. Mercedes didn't have the pace of the top two teams today, unfortunately, unlike in Zandvoort. But, third, maximising his result once again. Sainz, brilliant recovery drive from him. He did a really solid job there. And Hamilton as well, similar story, beautiful double overtake. Just similar story as Sainz, maximising their results. Perez, once again, just quite far off in qualifying, really. Starting quite considerably ahead of Hamilton and Sainz, and with a faster car as well. For me, really, he should have been beating them, even with some of the issues he had. Maybe not Sainz, but definitely Hamilton, so he'll be frustrated with that. Norris in 7th, quite an untidy race for McLaren, but, still scoring good points. So I don't think he'll be too disappointed with that. Gasly in 8th, solid points for AlphaTauri, and Nick De Vries, star of the race. Just unbelievable, outperforming teammate like that and performing like that with that car and scoring points. Just an absolutely unbelievable job from him. Zhou in 10th as well, solid points for them. It's the first time they got a while, so the first points they've got in a while, so they'll definitely take that. Ocon 11th, disappointing to miss out, with Alonso DNFing as well. That's such a disappointing weekend with Alpine. They've got the speed to stay ahead of McLaren, but they can't have many weekends like that. Schumacher in 12th, all the time he's missed out in practice and stuff like that, the Haas lack of performance, I'd say he actually did a really good job there. And then you got Bottas in 13th, just didn't have a great weekend, he got kind of screwed at the start. And then Tsunoda 14th, could never really recover from that grid penalty. Latifi 15th, come on man, starting from 10th, your teammates just perform like that, despite never driven that car before, or maybe once in practice. That's just so poor, and I think that's probably the nail in the coffin for Latifi. Magnussen in 16th, once again, just not a great weekend for Magnussen, just didn't really have the pace. And then Ricciardo, such a shame for him, because that would have been a confidence boost in a few points, and a really solid performance from him. Still much better performance from Ricciardo, you'd have to say. In the Aston Martins, just been really poor. I think they can count themselves lucky that Albon wasn't available, because if De Vries could do that, never driven a car, I think Williams could have picked up really solid points and maybe even started to put pressure on Aston for the night. But Aston just a bit of a disaster once again, you'd have to say, really. Anyway guys, that's the video. Thanks very much for watching. To like, share, subscribe, don't thoughts, comments down below. Follow us, link in the description for daily F1 news. Subscribe to my channel, current now, we greatly appreciate it. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.